Hello there, my name is the Met Enthusiast, and you're listening to the Nothin But Bricks podcast. Welcome back to the podcast. Just me this week. As I did mention in the previous solo episode, I would be doing at least 4 interviews before doing a solo episode again, and that is exactly what happened. So here we are. And I also wanted to just chat a bit about maybe a bit of an introspective of how I feel the interviews went that I have done so far and what I am going to do going forward with interviewing people. So I guess the first thing is my main takeaways from interviewing people. I went into it with a different mindset than I did 3 years ago when I started doing interviews. The mindset I went into it with this time was just have a conversation with people, like don't stick so harshly to the questions I have written down. Don't be just question, answer, like allow it to be a conversation, because what I learned too with interviewing people is when you're actually open and honest and a person and not an interviewer that is kind of berating them with questions, when you show that kind of vulnerability, you most of the time get it back as well. It opens up things for more of a relaxed, open discussion, which was kind of my main the main thing I had in mind when going into these interviews was, don't stick so strictly to the questions. And for the most part, I feel like I did that, but I guess I keep the questions there as a way of keeping the conversation flowing if it runs dry or kind of comes to a halt. But, I now go into it thinking this is just a conversation, not necessarily an interview as much as just an open back and forth, which is also why I don't know if it's been picked up on, probably has been, but when speaking with people, I would also give more of my own experience and talk a bit more about myself. Like, I'm not maliciously trying to make the interviews about me, because I am conscious of the fact that the person is taking the time to do this and it is about them because it's their interview. So I do also want to keep the focus on them, but it is I guess to get points across and to have a meaningful connection and open conversation. Like I was saying, you do have to actually speak about your own experiences too. It also something I've learned that I probably could have done with doing earlier, and this is not a slight at anybody in the community whatsoever, but do not ask random people to come on the podcast, is what I've learned as well. Like I used to post in Discord servers, like looking for guests, anybody who wants to join can join. And I used to say on the podcast, anybody who wants to come on the podcast can, basically. It, to an extent, was a good thing because it meant I felt like I was able to speak with people that wouldn't normally get a podcast interview for them, because it's kind of just the bigger brick filmers. But now I understand, of course, that reaching out on Discord to strangers is not the best. So what I've been doing more so recently, and what I'll probably do going forward, is reach out to specific individuals that I want to speak with on the podcast, because then I have more of an idea of what I'm getting myself into. Well, for the most part, people can be receptive to things and they can sometimes not be receptive to things too. It's very much a mixed bag, like I was saying in previous podcasts with Jade White and with Funky Monkey Studios. It's very much a mixed bag of, you never know what kind of response you're going to get from someone when speaking with them for the first time. Especially, like I said, with the social anxiety, I feel like I probably should keep it to a certain strictness for my own sanity of just not inviting everybody that I see on the podcast, just the people that I really admire the work of, and people that I see in the community that I actually would like to speak to, because I feel like that's the other thing too, is interviewing people not even caring who it is, I feel like is going to bring the enjoyment level of the conversation down a lot. And if you know nothing about the person or their content or their history or anything like that, then you can't really personalize the questions and the conversation to be more catered to them. It's very much the same kind of cookie cutter interview over and over again. I start every interview by asking about, what got you into brick filming, but I do also preface it by saying, or at least I did a few times, I don't know if I did it every time, but I do preface it by saying, this is a very basic question, but what got you into brick filming? Because I feel like it's an important question, and it's a good jumping off point, because it's like starting from the beginning and then working your way from there. And another interesting thing too is the fact that a lot of people have very similar experiences, to me personally, with how they got into brick filming. At least the more recent interviews I've found, that's been the case. Finding inspiration through other creators at a young age and just wanting to make stuff, so making brick films since being very young, and doing it as kind of just something for yourself too. I would have said before in the interviews that I felt like a lot of the brick films that I made originally were very much created for the sake of pumping things out. Like, they were very short. Looking back, I don't think I saw it that way at the time. I just didn't realize how much time you have to spend to get like a big project done. So I very much just kind of wanted to make videos like brick films, but this when I was like 11 or 12 starting out. But I wanted to make brick films, but I didn't feel like I had the knowledge and skill to make anything with dialogue or any kind of lengthy video. It also kind of dawned on me that it seems like Forest Fire was kind of the starting off point in terms of inspiration for young brick filmers, and then more so lately, as things kind of died out for a little bit, I feel like Edbound coming into the scene was kind of like the renaissance of brick filming. It just brought a lot more people back into it, including myself, and it made me more knowledgeable about how I could actually go about making longer form videos and brick films in general. And I think too, doing the interviews before actually taught me a lot about brick filming as well, because when I started the podcast and thought, oh, I'm going to interview people and talk about brick filming, like, I had that passion there because I had just finished such a long project, but I don't think I realized just how little I actually knew about the community and brick filming as a whole. Looking back now, it makes me think like what was going through my head to start a podcast about brick filming when I knew so little about it. But I think if I didn't start the podcast, I don't think I would know as much as I do about brick filming now on a technical level. And also just wanting to connect with the community more, I don't think I would have done that as much. And also, speaking with people, I think, was especially during COVID, which is when I started the podcast. Like, the pandemic hit in March 2020, and then May 2020 I started the podcast. So it was a very isolating time, and I feel like I really needed to get out of my comfort zone and just speak with people outside of my bubble of people. I just needed to push myself out of my comfort zone at the time, and I feel like I still always try and do that, because having that kind of social anxiety, like I was saying, for me personally, I do want to try and challenge it a little bit, or I guess a lot in this case, by actually speaking with people that I've never spoken to before. And there have been a few times where I would go to interview someone, plan the interview, it's all set up for the time and the date, and I just start panicking and would not be able to be present when I do the actual interview, and I'd dissociate, and then it wouldn't be until I'd be editing that I'd realize, oh, I actually did this and had this conversation with this person. It's sort of an out of body experience when I'm so anxious about it, but the more I've done it, I feel like the more I've been able to be present in the moment in the interview and give it an actual fair go at interviewing the person. And I feel like that's also why I took a different approach more so lately when starting back up the interviews, because I have had experience with speaking with people in the community already. I knew to expect the unexpected, I guess. And that really helped me to just kind of embrace the chaos of things, like just accept that not everybody is going to answer every question the way you expect. Not every conversation is going to be molded perfectly to how it is in your head. Not everything is going to go completely wrong either. That was a big fear of mine, or can be, when interviewing people, is just like, everything is going to go wrong. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong, which is a classic anxious thought to have. But the more I do them, the more comfortable I feel in my ability to do them. But the other thing, I guess, that's frustrating is coming into my own interview style more so recently. I think it's frustrating that I can't do it as frequently as I want to, because it just takes all of my time and energy. But I think it's mainly the chronic illness that I have affected my energy levels, and anyone who has a low amount of energy is going to start feeling a lack of drive for creating things. Like, the last thing that's going to be on my mind if I'm exhausted is, I want to edit a podcast. But because I had set myself this kind of arbitrary goal of a weekly interview, it kind of was on my mind all the time, and that changed from enthusiasm into stress, because it was like, I have to meet this deadline. If this interview falls through, what am I gonna do? And it was a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. Like, I really do enjoy doing them, and I'm really happy with all of the interviews that I've done so far, and I'll continue to do them, of course. Just not with the arbitrary goal of every week, because that is just way too much to expect of myself to do, especially when unwell. So yeah, I guess the frequency of the interviews and the podcasts will decrease. However, I do have a project that I am working on right now that I'm very excited about. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I think the thing that makes me want to make it is it's very much influenced by my experience with isolation. You'll see what I mean when you see the project. It's a brick film that I'm working on, but anyways, I don't want to give too much away because I'm very excited about it, but it's very much influenced by my experience of being isolated with the illness that I have. And I had this idea in my head for a very long time, and I think a sign of a good idea is when it keeps coming back into your head and you still like it every single time. And the longer things went on, the more it popped into my head, and it just kept coming back, this idea of this project that I want to create. And now I'm going to, of course, create it, which is very exciting. But I just thought, like, this is something that I want to really make. And I don't think I've sat on an idea like this ever, because I'm a very impulsive person. When I have an idea, I want to just get it done as soon as it pops into my head. So I write the script, I do the animation, I get it done, I do the voice lines, whatever. I get it done as quickly as I can, and just go, make this video. I don't really take the time enough to really flesh it out more, or I didn't before, which for some videos can work very well because you're not stuck with that writer's block or anything when it comes to writing the scripts, and you're not stuck with perfectionism as much, because at least for me, this is me talking about my experience, but I'm not stuck with writer's block or anything like that, because my main focus is the video and I just want to get it done. My main focus is, like, I just want to animate something, so let me wrap a story around it to make it cohesive. Like I was saying with Funky Monkey Studios, while I was speaking with him, we were talking about the importance of context in stories, and not to just go straight into a fight scene. And when I was saying, I said something along the lines of, even a vague line can go a long way in creating a narrative in someone's head, and they become the writer of the story, because when it's a vague enough line that you can fill in the gaps in your head, and it's going to be different for everybody. So I feel like it made me think of a particular video that I did called Lego Ninja Showdown. It was a video I made in 2020, and it only had like a couple lines at the start and a couple lines at the end. And I only made the video because I wanted to do this fight between two ninjas, but I still added a couple lines in there to create this sense of conflict. So I guess when I was speaking about this, you can create a vague story while still capturing the viewer's attention and making it something that's interesting and still narrative driven but vague. I love experiencing that cryptic kind of writing where you kind of have to fill in the gaps in some spots yourself. You become the narrator, and that's a really fun thing for me to do anyway, because it's also a creative exercise that keeps your imagination, keeps your writer's brain going. And for the video I was referring to, the Lego Ninja Showdown video, I don't even know what the story in between was, but afterwards I thought about it more, and then I thought, oh, if I do a sequel, this is what the story could mean. And I think that's really cool that the story can be continued even though there was like almost zero story there in the first place. And that's just a cool style of writing, I think. But yeah, it's very much a personal thing for me to be able to make this brick film, and I'm very excited for everybody to see it. So for the foreseeable future, that is what I will be working on, and I probably won't be doing many podcasts in the meantime. To those who are listening thinking I reached out to them about interviews, I know that I did that and haven't interviewed people yet, but I still will get to those interviews because I do genuinely want to, don't get me wrong. And I know I've been explaining the anxiety stuff, but it is definitely manageable, and it gets easier and easier every time that I interview someone. And the only frustrating thing is, like I was saying, the illness gets in the way physically with my energy levels, because the way my illness works is any activity or strain on the body causes the symptoms to get worse. So the more physical stuff that you do while you're already tired, the worse that the symptoms are going to get, and the harder it is to no longer have those symptoms there afterwards. So I just very much have to put the health stuff before the podcast, which is, it is what it is. But I will absolutely get to interviewing the people that I promised I would interview, and I will still interview other people as well. I have a full list of people that I want to reach out to, so I'm excited about that. But in the meantime, I'm still working on stuff all the time. Like, I'm working on the brick film, I'm doing this podcast right now. I always want to be working on something for this channel, and if I'm not, it just means that I don't quite have the energy to, not so much that I don't want to. Which I guess will also tie back into the narrative of the video that I'm writing at the moment, but you'll see what I mean when the video comes out. I keep saying I'm not going to give anything away about it, and then instantly give away something afterwards. So that's all I'll say for now about the video, but yeah, I will now start talking about Lego Animal Crossing, because I have been rambling for quite a while now, and I haven't even gotten into the topic at hand. So, Lego Animal Crossing was announced by Lego and Nintendo not too long ago. It's been generating quite a lot of hype around it. I'm very hyped for it myself. I have only ever played the most recent Animal Crossing before, but I really love that game. It's very aesthetically pleasing and atmospheric. It's very relaxing to play, and it's great to play with my siblings whenever we used to play it all at the same time. Getting into these sets though, so I have some saved posts on my Instagram of the Lego Animal Crossing news and what the sets are actually gonna look like. So the first set will be 77046 Julian's Birthday Party, and it is priced currently at $15.99 and has 170 pieces. So let me take a look at what that looks like, and I'll give you my honest reaction to it live. Okay, it's not too bad. I do like it. I like the addition of the skateboard and the cherry blossom tree. That's cool. Yeah, very nice. Very cute little set there. The other cool thing about these sets too is they all join together and create one massive set if you get them all. And the figures too are incredible. I love when LEGO does custom head molds because I don't know if you've seen the Squidward minifigure that they did a while back where it was just the face printed onto a normal LEGO head. It's a bit weird looking, to say the least. You know, it wasn't until they did an actual Squidward head mold that the figure obviously looks much better with the actual Squidward head as opposed to just being printed on a face. But you know, if they were to do that for Mario, like LEGO Mario minifigures, I wouldn't be opposed. The other thing about these sets and the fact that they're generating so much hype around them, it goes back to what I was saying in other podcasts about LEGO branching out into new things and people being receptive to it. Like me and Storm the Blank were chatting about the fact that there's only Batman sets and they keep calling them DC sets, but it's just LEGO Batman. But when they actually do things that are different and introduce new ideas and themes, people take an interest in it because it is new and because it is requested. It's wanted by so many people, myself included. When I saw the initial announcement for this, I was blown away by the fact that they're actually like gonna do this, because Nintendo too, to get the license from Nintendo to do anything must be like pulling teeth, just because of how Nintendo treats use of their games and stuff in content and things like that, and they don't mess around with copyright and things like that. So it's quite incredible that these two companies, who are both very, not necessarily conservative, that might be the wrong word, but companies that don't really want to branch out much into other things, it's cool to see them actually come together, and it's making me think more and more like, how did this happen? Because LEGO rarely, up until recently with LEGO Mario and other new themes, they rarely branch out into new things, and that was the frustration that me and Storm the Blank shared over the LEGO Batman sets. It's that repetitiveness where they can just stay afloat by like slapping on a new coat of paint to the same Batman set or whatever, or making a new Batman set. But I was also thinking, you know, from the perspective of the LEGO set designer, you're given an opportunity to create a set for the LEGO company and make your mark in LEGO history. So like everybody is going to flock to Batman because that's like the most iconic superhero of all time. So of course people are going to want to start off creating at least one Batman set, but there's so much more that they could use. There's so much more at their disposal there that people would be receptive to. Like the Animal Crossing is just an example of that, and LEGO Dimensions and all these things should at this stage show LEGO that people like it when they try new things, because it works out. Everybody's happy when it happens, and if they could do that with DC, loads of people would be receptive to that too. If that became a new normal, LEGO doing actual DC sets and not just Batman sets, they could slam those sets out and everyone would be receptive to them. And not that I, don't like LEGO Batman, but the overabundance of Batman sets is just kind of frustrating to see. But going on to the next Animal Crossing set, that was a bit of a tangent, but that's what podcasts are for. So the next set will be 77047 Bonnie's Outdoor Activities, and it'll be priced at $19.99 and will have 164 pieces. So let's have a look here. That's not too bad. That's quite nice. I think for what you're paying, that's pretty reasonable. And as far as Lego standards go, because Lego is pricey, but I feel like that's pretty fair for the kind of price that you give. The one gripe that I do have is you can't get the minifigures all in one set. If there was one massive set that you could get that had all of the minifigures in all of the smaller sets, that would be awesome. But unfortunately, in order to get all of the minifigures, you'd either have to get them on Bricklink or something after the fact, or you would have to get every single set that comes out, which I guess in this case works because they're all connectable sets. They're kind of meant to all join together, but also nobody's going to be paying, like, nobody wants to be paying in the hundreds just to have every minifigure involved in this line. But you take what you can get. From what I can see here, they have the ladder from the game, which is cool. They have the net that you use to catch bugs. They have the shovel, which is just a basic Lego shovel. But the net looks pretty cool. I don't know if they've ever actually... I think that might be a new mold, new piece, the net in particular, because I've never actually seen that before. But let me know in the comments if that's the case, if they made a new net just for the Animal Crossing stuff. It also shows that it has a bit of playability, I guess, with... Is it Bonnie? Is that the character's name? But with the minifigure jumping over the waterfall, I think that could be a playability thing where you can move the bamboo stick that they're holding onto back and forth to have them jump back and forth. But you can also animate that too anyway. But in terms of playability, that would be cool if that's like a mechanism of some kind that you can move back and forth, even if it's just like one piece, not even a mechanism. But if it's movable, that'll be cool. It also comes with a little tent there. That's quite cool. It's got a marshmallow cooking over a fire. That's nice. And the other cool thing about these sets too is the rounded flat pieces, I think, are quite cool because it creates this look that is very distinctively Animal Crossing. So they've definitely nailed capturing it in Lego, I think, combining the two styles very, very nicely. It's chef's kiss, I think. Yeah, so that's Bunny's outdoor activities. I've been saying Bonnie, but it's Bunny. So the next set is 77048 Captain's Island Boat Tour, and it is $29.99 and has 233 pieces. So once again, I will go back to the other post just to explain. I'm going between two different posts. One of them has the images and one of them has the text describing the sets. Yeah, that's quite nice. It's very cool. Oh, 2 minifigures in this one. That's cool. So I guess you get, I don't know the names of the villagers, but you get the green, I guess he's the captain. And then you get a cat of some kind. I'm very sorry to those probably screaming at their screens right now because of me not knowing the names of these minifigures, but yeah, it's a very wholesome line altogether, I think, the Animal Crossing stuff. And the style, like I said, it's very well meshed between the style of the Animal Crossing art style and Lego. I think this is like a match made in heaven, this line. There's a few little pools of water, and there's an island, and then there's a boat with one of the minifigures who is, I guess, Cap'n. The green bird minifigure is in a separate boat to the cat minifigure. I think it's a cat, or maybe a bear. I don't know. But it is... I'll have it up on screen, but so you can probably make more sense of it than I can. But there's so much detail and little trinkets and things in these sets that I haven't fully touched on. I guess I've just been pointing out small details that I appreciate, but when you actually look at what the sets look like, there are so many little hidden Easter eggs and things. It's really sweet to see that. You've got a little crab walking along the beach, or along the sand, which is cool. You got the coconut trees like in the game, and you have the shovel again. Is that a fossil piece? That would be cool. You've got an orange fish. That's nice. Just the standard fish piece, but orange. The other thing I'll say about Animal Crossing too is the colors. I don't think I've ever seen these kinds of greens and browns and things used in many sets before, because the style is so specifically Animal Crossing. The colors just fit so nicely, and they just really pop, you know? If this was all on display, all joined together, it really does stand out very nicely, the colors anyway, because they're very unusual kinds of colors for LEGO to use typically, but they're very nice and welcomed. They're very cool. So yeah, this set, it is 233 pieces, and I think that every single piece has been used to perfection. Oh, okay. Nice. Moving on to the next set, 77049, Isabel's House Visit, which is priced at $39.99 and has 389 pieces. Yeah, this is my new favorite. I love the Animal Crossing houses, and I think that the style of them is it's just really sweet, really nice, and wholesome. And I really like how they've translated them into LEGO. I think it's just, like I said, chef's kiss. They have the gift floating on a balloon like in the game. They have the apple trees. Well, an apple tree. They have the house, of course, and then they have Isabel and another minifigure that I don't know the name of, but it is a deer villager. Then they have a slingshot, an axe, and a shovel. All items that can be used in the game. They have the mailbox with a letter in it. That's nice. And they have interchangeable window frames. They have blue window frames that you can put on the sides of the house that you can change to the tan kind of color. That is really nice. And then there's a pumpkin and a carrot outside, and then Isabel is standing with flowers next to the deer minifigure, who is standing there with a basket of some kind, a bag with I think a phone in it. I think it's also got printing on it, which is like phone specific to the game, the New Horizons one, where you flick out the phone and open up different things to do your task. It has a little watering can. That's cool. Yeah, overall this looks really nice. It has a little white fence behind the carrot and the pumpkin. Pumpkin, very fitting for the current time of year, but I guess this is coming out in March of next year, so by then it won't really fit, but still, it's a cool addition nonetheless. Wow, I just really love this one. I don't know if quaint is the right word. I don't want to like diminish the significance of this, because I really love these sets. I just really love them. I think they work really well, and they're very distinctively Animal Crossing. Like, if you didn't see any of the minifigures there, you'd still be able to tell from looking at the house, like, this is an Animal Crossing thing in LEGO. It's just so well done. That's my favorite set so far. The brick film potential as well. Another thing I was gonna say, I would have preferred if they had the Animal Crossing villager minifigure from Super Smash Bros. Included, so that you could, be the villager, or not be the villager, but have that minifigure for brick films. But then I realized it leaves it open so that you can have your minifigure, whatever minifigure it is, your sig fig, whatever, you can put it in there and it can still fit really well. But at the same time, it would be nice to have the option of the default Animal Crossing villager from Smash Bros, which also led me to another thought before I started recording, which was they should do a CMF series of Super Smash Bros. Characters. I think that would be amazing. Like, could you imagine a Lego Kirby minifigure? That would be awesome. The fact that they do custom molds now for like every CMF series that requires them, I think a Smash Bros. CMF series, it would absolutely slap if this is the quality of the Animal Crossing sets that we're getting. Because Lego Mario, Mario itself is he's already in games. You don't need to make a game out of the Lego stuff and make a new mold and all that stuff, like to make this big clunky thing. You can just make Lego Mario minifigures and have that be that, and have the playability features and stuff or whatever in the sets. If people still like the Lego Mario stuff, I'm not hating on that. I just feel like it was wasted potential with the execution, but here it's proving that they can actually make some really cool Nintendo Lego stuff, and I'm really excited for these sets now, more so than I was before starting recording this. It is worth mentioning that it is only the front of the house that is built. Well, there is some interior, but it's not a full 360 4-wall house. There's 3 walls. There's a clock on the inside. The other cool thing too is you could probably do the interior whatever way you want, like in the game, except there's not much space to do so. It would be nice if they did a big, massive, proper type set of like a house or something where you can have like a much bigger, not like the size of the Home Alone house or anything, but just bigger than this. I think like it works with the other sets that are coming out, but I think as a standalone set, it would work really well if they were to make 4 walls and not just 3. And 3 is being generous because they kind of cut off half of 2 of the walls, which are the walls at the sides. It's probably because in-game, when you see the exterior of the house, this is what you see. Like, this is all that you see in the game, so it makes sense for them to build that. But then, if you're going to have an interior regardless, why not go all out, When are you going to get to see Lego do more of these Animal Crossing sets? And when are you going to get to do this exact house again, But I'm sure there are cool mocks out there of Animal Crossing houses that are more detailed in terms of the exterior and interior matching the vibes of the game, but the exterior fits really well with the style of the game. It looks just like a house in the game, and yeah, I'm very excited for this set. And Isabelle's minifigure too is phenomenal. The coloring, the printing, the molded headpiece, like I said. I just realized there's like a skirt piece and the legs are actually smaller than the skirt. That's a really cool detail. There's so much detail in these sets with greenery and shrubs and things, and the gardens and the trees. It's really cool to see just how much little Easter eggs they put into each little set. But moving on now though to the next set. It is set 77050, Nook's Cranny and Rosie's House, and it'll be $74.99 and will be 535 pieces. I thought these would be 2 separate sets. That's quite cool that they're combined into the one, and that makes more sense for the price point as well. And again, with the house, they really nailed the likeness of the house to the style of how it looks in the games, along with Nook's Cranny. I think that looks quite cool. There could be a little more detail added there, I feel like, on the exterior. That's just a personal gripe of mine, though I do think it looks nice. I was also thinking as well, it's the same with the lack of interior for these as well. I mean, there's more of an interior in the second house than the first one. I do prefer the color scheme of the first one, but I like the detail in the second one more. The minifigures too are really nice. There's a blue cat. I'm sorry, I do not know the name of that blue cat. And of course, Tom Nook. They really did a great job with the minifigure there. And there's an orange tree there. That's cool. And then the interior of Tom Nook's shop. Like I said, if you're only going to get one chance to do these Animal Crossing sets, you might as well go all out and do the interior as well, you know? Or even have a separate set of just the interiors. I guess I'm thinking of in terms of brick filming. Like, I guess I'm excited to see as well how people get creative with their own mocks of the interiors of these buildings in their brick films if they make Animal Crossing brick films, because it would require creating your own builds to actually make the interior usable for brick films. So I think it would be very cool to see people's builds, and I think if LEGO maybe saw that a bit more, then they'd maybe make more detailed Animal Crossing sets going forward, who knows. But I do think it is also worth mentioning that according to 1414 Falcon Fan on Instagram, it is expected to be released on March 1st, 2024, and the sets are built on plates for you to create your own modular island. So that's cool that you can rearrange them in whatever kind of way that you're feeling. You can make it your own, essentially, as it says in this post by 1414 Falcon Fan. The other post I was looking at was posted by hello.bricks that had all the images of the sets, which are really awesome images and really give you a full idea of what you're getting for these prices too. So yeah, definitely go check out the posts for yourself and just give it a Google, even LEGO Animal Crossing, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. It would be great to hear if you are hyped about this, because you know, the more hype that we can drum up about new themes being introduced, the better, because it shows that people are passionate about new ideas and new LEGO sets coming out that aren't just the same cookie cutter stuff, you know? So those are all the Animal Crossing sets, and I did go off on a few tangents there, but I hope that I did a good job of explaining some of them, maybe. Not the minifigures, because I'm very unfamiliar with the villagers included, but I will say if they had a Jay from Animal Crossing New Horizons, if they had a Jay minifigure, that would be awesome, because he's my favorite villager in the new Animal Crossing game. But yeah, that will about do it for this episode of the podcast. I will say though, I am very excited to get to play Spider-Man 2 soon. That'll probably consume my life for a little bit, because for those who don't know, the first Spider-Man is my favorite game. I think I've played it to 100% completion 4 times, and I just finished Miles Morales Spider-Man yesterday, so I'm very excited to play Spider-Man 2, and I will probably post about it on my Instagram as I play it. I might a little bit on my story, so you can follow me there, the Met Enthusiast. You can follow me everywhere at the Met Enthusiast, and I think on Twitter it's Met Enthusiast, but if you look up the Met Enthusiast, it should pop up as well. So yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with me this time on the podcast, and for tuning in. If you would like to leave a like and give it a share or comment, that would be greatly appreciated. I really do appreciate the support lately on all of the podcasts and the videos that I've been making, and I cannot wait to get started on I've already started on it, but I cannot wait to get started animating on the brick film project that I've been teasing throughout the podcast, and more interviews coming soon, but they won't be every week, and more podcasts in general coming soon, but they also won't be every week. As I said, I do have to put my health first, so I hope you enjoyed the interviews that have come out already, and if you haven't checked them out, you should, because they are a lot of crack and a lot of fun. So yeah, that about does it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next podcast, brick film, video, whatever I do next. I will see you there, hopefully. And yeah, see ya.